my fellow readers, it's time to pick out my April TBR. But of course, before I choose the books I'll be reading in April, I will first go over what I read for March. So first, I'll just do the library book. It was a new release. I did a newer release because it was very hard to get in time the newest releases. But I decided to read The Berry Pickers. Because I saw it like at the end of last year. It was like one of Barnes & Noble's picks for their books of the year. And I had already read The Heaven and Earth Grocery Store because that would have been another one I would want to read. So I went with Berry Pickers. I did not realize that it was an Indigenous read, but it was. And it essentially was, it was a strange book, honestly. Like, I'm not sure I loved it, but I kind of liked it. But essentially it told the story of this Indigenous family that they were working, I believe, and the one son and the youngest daughter, he was kind of like watching over her, but it's not like he had full responsibility of her. They were just like hanging out, and the little girl goes missing. And so for quite a while, the family is looking everywhere for her, and they are more in like the berry picking region. I think of, oh goodness, they're somewhere in New England. I don't remember exactly where the book takes place now. But they are looking everywhere for her. They cannot find her. She disappears. And it's kind of just the family's story about how life goes on after that. And it mostly focuses on the brother. And maybe this is why I had some like disconnect with the story, because it kind of hops around a bit. But the sister that disappears, she's actually the secondary main character. So she doesn't like get killed or anything. It's not a mystery to solve like where she died. It's just she went away. She was kidnapped. She was adopted by a family that the mother had, I think she had a series of like miscarriages or early deaths of infants. I don't know. She had like a sad story, of course. Ends up taking the little girl because her brain can't process the grief of losing the children that she always wanted to have. And so they end up raising her in a farther away area. I don't remember where they moved to. I'm really bad with names and places sometimes. I remember emotions and story points. But anyway, they go and raise her somewhere else. And she can always tell that something's a little bit weird because she doesn't look like her parents. She realizes that her skin is a little bit darker and that she just doesn't fit the look of her parents. And her parents don't really say much. And little by little, like certain things that she used to see around the house, like go away, like pictures and everything, and she doesn't understand that. There's just all these strange things that as she's getting older, because I think she's only like 4 when she's kidnapped, and so you don't really pay attention to that much when you're 4, but she would have like, she would have memories, but kind of like dreams of her biological mother, and of course, they would try to convince her that it was imaginary or just made up or whatever. So she grows up very like confused, but also sheltered, and her parents don't want her to do much or go out very many places. And of course, because she's kidnapped. Meanwhile, the brother who was kind of looking after her, he also grows up kind of struggling with his life. It's not like 100% tragic. I mean, he does different things, but he does end up, with a problem with drinking and partying too much and getting into trouble that way. It's very dark and emotional. It doesn't stay completely dark, so it's not like totally 100% tragic. But it just, it just follows the story of these two components. And then there's moments where you're thinking that maybe they'll reconnect, but then they don't for whatever reason. And you kind of get explanations for that by the end, too, that there might be other reasons why it's not fully connecting. But yeah, it's just kind of them finding their way maybe back to each other. And it was pretty good. Again, I didn't 100% love it. There were bits where the storylines would just feel disjointed, but in general I liked it. I thought it was a good emotional story, and I did want to find out what happened next every time, so that's a plus. And then of course my light novels. I gotta say, I did not have the best reading month for March, because none of these were like stellar five-star reads. Not the library one, and neither of the light novels either. The light novels I read were Though I Am an Inept Villainess, and it's the tale of the butterfly rat body swap and the maiden court, and then The Eminence and Shadow Volume 1. I liked this one more than this one. The Eminence and Shadow, I probably will not do a full review of either one of these, so this is probably all you're going to get on these books. This one, I just did not connect to this story at all. This is one where the main character, he really wants magic to be real, and he thinks about it a lot, and then I think he's about to make a realization when he dies, and he gets birthed, and when he's born, he realizes that magic's a thing that exists. And like he has his memories and his thoughts from his previous life, but he's a baby, and then he grows, and he has powerful magic, and then he saves this elf inadvertently, and then she becomes like his servant, and then he ends up with a bunch of servants, and then they form this group that kind of is trying to stop this other group, which I think he thought didn't exist, but then it does exist. But then also, I gotta tell you, this, I didn't like this. I didn't understand, like, the stories were very bizarre, and it was like I was trying to reach for a lot of humor that I just didn't find humorous. Yeah. I don't know, this was rough for me, and I didn't really care. I didn't really care. I kept trying to, like, get into it and feel this, like, this overall vibe, but it was very, like, split, because there's a character, Shadow, in it, but I'm like, isn't he Shadow? But then it would, like, jump to him in some other area, but then it sounded like it was just telling the story from before he does the other, and I don't know, it just felt disjointed and weird, and I didn't care, honestly. Like, I just wanted to get through with it and get rid of it. Like, I probably will not pick up more of this series. I just didn't like it. Yeah. If you want to try it, you can, but it wasn't for me, and I think that's fine. It just wasn't for me. That's all I'm going to say about it. I don't think I need to do any further review of it. That's all you get. And then the other one I did actually find cuter, and I will probably read more about from this series, but it wasn't like, you know, for me, I do have some that are definite favorites. I love Sugar Apple Fairy Tale. I love Seventh Time Loop. I love, I Swear I Won't Bother You Again. Wow, that became one of, like, my biggest favorites. I love that one. My Happy Marriage. Like, those are, it's not quite to that level, but it was good enough to where I will probably read more. And I don't know if I'm going to do a fuller review of this either. I think I'm just going to leave it at my thoughts here. So in this one, we have these two women that are in the court, and one is, like, seen as the butterfly, and that's Rayrin, and she's beautiful and perfect. Well, she's not really perfect because she's really very sick, and that's why she seems so fragile and beautiful. And the prince, I think they call him a prince, Guillaume. I'm actually pretty good with these names because I literally just finished the book last night. But Guillaume is the crown prince, so he's like the next emperor, and he loves Rayrin, the butterfly princess. Meanwhile, there is Keigetsu, and she is the villainess, and she is like the rat maiden. Nobody likes her. She is conniving, and she's awful, and at the start of the book, she ends up body swapping with Rayrin. So Keigetsu is now Rayrin, and Rayrin is now Keigetsu. The problem is that Keigetsu was kind of trying to murder Rayrin, or it looked like it. So when the body swap occurs, Rayrin, now in Keigetsu's body, ends up being locked away and is set for execution, while Keigetsu now gets to live her dream life as the pampered chosen one of Gyomei. And it makes for a thrilling beginning. So then Reirin, who is in the body of Keigetsu, but I'm going to just call her Reirin because that's pretty much how she's presented throughout the book. She ends up, I didn't remember the poison bit, but I think somebody gave her something poison. A rat ended up eating it, so then the rat is dead, and she hides the rat in her robe. So when she goes to be presented for execution, it's like a trial by lion, where if the lion doesn't kill you, then you're innocent. Think of like drowning witches. It's a really like bizarre. However, the lion senses the rat on Reirin and eats it and becomes poisoned and dies, and therefore Reirin, as Keigetsu, is pronounced innocent and she's released. However, they still don't trust her, so she's kind of shoved away into this shack. But Reirin is so excited because for years she's been in this really sickly body and not allowed to do anything, and suddenly she has land where she can grow things that she wants to grow, she can care for it, she can eat what she wants to eat, she can do what she wants to do. So she's actually on cloud 9, and a lot of the story is just like suddenly people perceiving Keigetsu differently because, of course, she's no longer Keigetsu. She's Reirin. There's little bits of people also perceiving Reirin differently because, of course, now she's Keigetsu and can't handle how sickly Reirin's body actually is. So she spends most of the book in the background as just sick. And we just mostly follow Reirin and how she's reforming her life as Keigetsu. And that includes, like, finding an ally in her serving girl, Lily. And also there is, now I can't remember, is he half-brother? I think Shinyu is the half-brother of Gyomei. So, like, he's a child of the emperor, but by one of the other maidens, not the empress. You know what I mean. And I think he's taking over as the love interest, if I'm honest. I think he's getting feels for Reirin as Keigetsu. Of course, he's thinking that she's just Keigetsu, and doesn't realize that it's Reirin in there. So, like, it's kind of weird. I kind of wouldn't mind if things stayed as they were, and then Gyomei can just stay with Keigetsu as Reirin, and Shinyu could get with Reirin as Keigetsu. It's weird. But there's definitely parts with him where he's like, he becomes the main character, or the main focus of the part, and he is often thinking things about Reirin as Keigetsu. And so, yeah, I think it's going to be more of a love story there. But so far, like, he has been up until this moment, so, like, kind of the backstory, he's been a character that doesn't fall in love. He hasn't, like, gone after court maidens in that sense. Like, he just sleeps around in order to fulfill his needs. But he's never fallen in love. And so I think that's going to be the main story, is Shinyu falling in love with Reirin as Keigetsu. And that's it. It's really just following these characters. It's a body swap story. It was kind of fun. I would read more volumes of this. This was very quick for being over 300 pages. So, yeah, that's it. Now that I've talked about all of those, I'm going to pick out my books for April, and I'm hoping I get some good choices, because there's a lot that I actually want to read. So I'm hoping I can choose them. And let's see, we will go with the library first. I can't believe we're onto the April TBR already. It's so wild to me, but I'm very excited. Again, I'll shuffle the draw cards. I don't know why I'm going to shuffle the draw cards, because I know what happens. I shuffle them, and then I somehow end up with, like, one of the ones that I just pulled last time, but it is what it is. So, draw from the bottom. Okay, and I'm just going to draw from the bottom. I'm not going to... Oh wait, maybe I should shuffle. I'll do one shuffle. Okay, there. Because I was just thinking lots of times I stick them on the bottom when I'm done. Read a book with yellow on the cover. So I will check my library books and see if I have a book with yellow on the cover. I was kind of hoping that I would pull, what is it, In the Shadow of a Dragon's Breath or whatever. There's like the fantasy book, and I really want to read it. But I don't think there's red on the cover, there's yellow on the cover because it's very red. But I'll see. I'll find one I want to do that has yellow on the cover. I'll find one. I'll find one. I'm a little bit disappointed, but not too disappointed. Now, for my light novels. Let's see where I ended. Okay. Okay, here we go. And I'm just going to go with the one on top. Okay, so roll a die, draw the same number of cards. Luckily, I did bring my die in here. Well, I did. Alright, here we go. Never pick this up by the cork. 5. I don't remember what it said to do. Just draw the same number of cards, or am I just going to take one of them, or just pick one randomly? Okay. I drew the 5 cards. I'm not going to look at them. I'm just going to pick one randomly, and that's what I'm going to go with, because it didn't tell me. Okay. Read the longest book. Why? Why you do this? I just finished a really long book. I know it's going to end up being this one, because this is the hugest book that's on here. It's You Can Have My Back, which, when I originally bought this, I thought was the manga, which I'm pretty sure this has a manga version, but it wasn't. And it's fine. I'll read that. It's just going to take forever. Hopefully I'll finish it in April. And next, I'll just tuck these in the middle somewhere. And next, give that a quick shuffle so I don't pull that one. Draw from the bottom. Oh, it's just like draw from the bottom. Read a book you think will be a 5-star prediction. Now that one I do like, because that means I can choose one that I really want to read. The question is which one, because I see a few that I could see being a 5-star prediction. I could end up betrayed by this, but I think, oh, there's so many I want to read on here, but I think I'm going to go with I Swear I Won't Bother You Again, Volume 4. Because this is the one I've been looking forward to reading the most because of where Volume 3 left off. Because I'm very concerned that there is going to be a twist. And so, yes, I'm going to read this one. So, these are my 2 picks for April. I hope I can finish this one in time. This one I'll finish in no time. Oh boy. And then, of course, I'll find a library book with yellow on the cover. I'll double check the library book that I just checked out, because like I said, I really want to read it, but I think it's too red. I don't think there's yellow. So that is it for this video. Until next time, bye.